Hello and welcome. Today we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most powerful, yet kind of invisible forces in our modern world, supply chain management. It's the secret story behind pretty much everything you own. So let's dive in and see what's really going on. No, really, think about it for a second. That coffee you might be drinking, or the phone that's probably in your hand, how did it actually get here? It didn't just magically appear, right? Its journey was this incredibly complex, globe-spanning adventure. And you know what? That adventure has a director.
You see, behind every single product, there's a master plan. It's like an intricate choreography of movement and timing. And that plan, that blueprint for a product's entire life, that's what we call supply chain management.
Okay, I know this sounds a little academic, a little bit stuffy, but think of it this way. SCM is the brain of the whole operation. It's not just about, moving boxes from point A to point B. It's about designing the entire system, planning every single step, and watching over the whole journey to make sure it's as smart and efficient as it can possibly be.
So what's this brain trying to accomplish? Well, it all boils down to what the industry calls the 5 rights. It's about getting the right product to the right customer and in the right quantity. But, and this is a big but, it doesn't stop there. It has to be in the right place at the right time and for the right cost. It's this delicate balancing act. Because think about it, if just one of these is off, the whole thing can fall apart. You get the cost wrong, nobody buys it. You get the time wrong, a competitor beats you to the punch. It's a huge deal.
All right, so to really get how this works, we need to meet the cast and crew of this giant global play. Who's actually involved, and what are their roles? At its very core, every single supply chain has these 3 main players. First up, you've got the suppliers. They're the ones providing the raw materials, the basic ingredients. Then you have the producer, who takes all those inputs and actually turns them into the finished product. And finally, there's you, the customer, the one who receives the final output. Seems simple, right? But it's how these 3 dance together that makes things so interesting. And here's how those roles translate into actions. Sourcing is the act of getting all that stuff from the suppliers. Production, well, that's the producer making the thing. And fulfillment is that final leg of the journey, getting the product into the customer's hands. Supply chain management is really the art of making all 3 of these things happen perfectly, all at the same time. Now, all of this would be tricky enough if it were all happening in, say, one city. But in our world today, it's a global balancing act stretching across continents and oceans. The scale of the complexity is just mind-boggling. I mean, just look at this difference. A local supply chain is pretty straightforward, right? You know the suppliers, the routes are simple, but when you go global, whoa, the complexity just explodes. Suddenly, you're not just coordinating a truck driver, you're dealing with container ships, air freight, and customs in a dozen different countries. You're not just calling up a local supplier, you're analyzing entire countries to find the best possible source for your materials. And this is exactly why SCM is so much more than just logistics. We're talking about massive, strategic decisions that managers have to make every single day. Where in the world should we build our next factory? Which country has the perfect balance of cost and quality for our parts? Getting the answers to these questions right can literally make or break an entire company.
So with all this incredible complexity and all these high-stakes decisions, why? Why do companies pour so many resources into getting this right? Well, it's because mastering your supply chain is one of the most powerful competitive advantages a company can possibly have today.
This quote just nails it. It's not just about being good at supply chain management anymore. It's about survival. Think about it. In a world where your biggest competitor is just one click away, the company that can deliver value more efficiently, more reliably through its supply chain, that's the company that wins. And here is the big payoff. When SCM is done really, really well, costs go down, which often means lower prices for you and me. Products are exactly where we expect them to be, right when we want them. All of this leads to happy customers and a company that is just incredibly tough to compete against. It all comes back to delivering value. So, I'll leave you with this thought. The next time you open a package, anything at all, just pause for a second. Think about the incredible, invisible journey that product took to get to you. The massive network of suppliers, factories, ships, planes, and trucks, all coordinated almost perfectly just to get that one item into your hands. What part of that hidden journey will you see now?